Sat through a meeting where everyone agrees out loud. You can feel the disagreement hanging in the air. One come to mind when a senior leader laid out a plan, flawed from the start. Nobody pushed back. And as soon as the meeting ended, the real conversation exploded in the hallway. That's the culture of nice. And it silently erodes trust, innovation, and results. Today, we're talking about how to fix that. This isn't about encouraging rudeness, it's about building workplaces where candor is safe, expected, and productive. That's Tuesday, 2:30 p.m. Conference room on the third floor. 23 people around the table. VP of product just finished presenting a new roadmap. Any questions? Silence. Great. Let's move forward then. By the time I reached the hallway 2 minutes later, it was buzzing. That'll never work. Did he seriously not see the problem with phase two? We tried this exact same thing 2 years ago. I stood there watching this hallway circus and thought, this is where the real meeting happens, not at the conference room with the nice chairs and the projector. Here in the water cooler, where people finally feel safe to say what they really think. So familiar? This is the hallway conversation phenomenon, and it's killing organizations from the inside. The real meeting happens after the meeting because in the actual meeting, emotional safety loses to political survival every single time. I've seen the signs everywhere. We probably have too. The sudden silence when the boss walks in, the careful rephrasing of concerns to sound more positive, the anonymous feedback in the suggestion box that's brutally honest while face to face feedback is candy coated. And here's where I really opened my eyes. I've worked with companies that on the surface, they look pretty similar. Same industry, same size, completely different cultures. Company A prided themselves in being brutally honest. The meetings were battlegrounds. People interrupted each other, shut down ideas aggressively, and wore their battle bluntness like a badge of honor. They called it just being real. Sure. And their turnover rate was probably 47% or more. UTB was the opposite, the nice company. Everyone smiled, everyone agreed. The conference room felt like yoga studios, peaceful, calm, and completely disconnected from reality. They couldn't launch a successful product in 3 years. Then there was Company C. I walked into their planning meeting expecting the usual theater, and instead I heard something remarkable. Junior engineer raised their hand and said, think we're solving the wrong problem. The room didn't freeze. The VP didn't frown. He leaned forward and said, tell me more. She did. For 10 minutes, she systematically dismantled the assumptions behind their 6 month plan with care, with respect, and with absolute clarity. Spot on. And you know what? They changed the plan right then and there. They probably saved 6 months of wasted effort and at least $1 million. That's when I realized candor isn't about being nice or mean. It's about caring enough to share truth in a way that helps. So why don't we do this? Why does truth hide in hallways instead of flourishing in meeting rooms? Let me tell you about David. Senior developer, brilliant guy. He saw a critical flaw in their architecture design. In the meeting, the CTO presented the plan, and David started speaking up. The CTO's eyebrow raised slightly, just slightly. David changed course mid sentence. Actually, never mind. It's probably fine. It wasn't fine. 6 months later, the system crashed, caused them 3 days of downtime and two major clients. As an agile coach, we build close trust relationships. So David told me later, I knew it wouldn't happen. And I also knew what would happen to me if I pushed back too hard. That's the weight of power dynamics right there. The invisible script that says, don't challenge the boss. It's written within each one of those race outbrows. It's right there. Every dismissive, let's take that offline. Every promotion that goes to the person who never rocks the boat. I watched this play out in a tech company. They had the product managers, two of them. Sarah spoke the truth to the power of structure, respectfully and consistently. Mike, he always smiles and executed whatever leadership wanted. Guess who got promoted? After Mike's promotion, Sarah pulled him aside. How do you stay so upbeat about plans we both know won't work? And his response was chilling. I figured out early that my job isn't to be right, it's to be successful. And successful people don't make waves. The promotion fear factor is real. When career incentives punish honesty, we get exactly what we reward: culture of careful silence. And it goes deeper than just career development. I was facilitating a workshop with teams in India when this became crystal clear. We were practicing giving direct feedback. The American participants jumped right in. The Indian participants looked physically uncomfortable. During the break, one of them pulled me aside and said, "In my culture, if serving harmony is the highest value, what you call candor, my parents would call disrespect." That hit me. We're asking people to override their deepest cultural conditioning, to go against years of being taught that respect means not challenging authority, that kindness means avoiding conflict. No wonder this is hard. And even when the individuals want to change, organizations resist. I call it the organizational antibody response. Just like your immune system attacks foreign objects, organizations attack uncomfortable truths. Watch what happens when someone raises a real concern. First comes the minimization. I don't think it's that bad. Then deflection. Let's focus on the positive. Then isolation. Mm, You seem to be the only one who feels this way. Finally, labeling. You're not being a team player. These antibodies protect the status quo. They're deployed by well meaning people who genuinely believe they're maintaining a positive culture. We don't realize, and it's certainly not their intent, that what they're actually maintaining is a dishonest culture. So, how do we change this? How do we create spaces where candor can breathe? It starts at the top, and I mean really starts there. I'll never forget the day when Marcus, CEO of a startup, stood in front of his entire company and said, "I made a terrible decision. Here's what happened." For the next 10 minutes, he walked through his failed acquisition attempt, the warning signs he ignored, the advisors he didn't listen to, the $3 million it cost him. Then he said the magic words, "That's on me." The room was silent. Then someone started clapping. Soon everyone was. Not because he failed, because he owned it. Over the next month, something shifted. People started sharing their own mistakes, small ones at first, then bigger ones. The phrase, "that's on me," became part of their culture. However, one time vulnerability isn't enough. You need practices that make it normal. One company I worked with instituted Failure Fridays, not the disaster I mentioned earlier, where people attacked each other under the banner of being brutally honest. This was different. Every Friday, 4 p.m., they gather for 15 minutes. The format was simple. This week I tried X. It didn't work because Y. And here's what I learned Z. Leaders went first, always. The CEO shared her failed sales pitch. The CTO shared his botched database migration. No blame, no shame, just learning. After 3 months, an engineer told me, "I used to hide my mistakes. Now I can't wait to share them." It's like group therapy, actually useful. And you also need structure for the harder conversations, the disagreements, the challenges to authority. One technique that works brilliantly is having a designated dissent. In some critical meetings, not every single meeting, but some critical meetings, assign someone the role of devil's advocate. Their job is to find flaws, raise concerns, poke holes. It's expected, it's their assignment. This depersonalizes disagreement. It's not Jane's just being negative again. It's Jane is doing the job we asked her to do. Another approach: red hat, green hat meetings. First half, everyone wears the red hat. Identify every possible risk, problem, or flaw. The second half, green hats, solutions and possibilities. This legitimizes criticism by making it part of the process. And my favorite might be the simplest. One team implemented a rule. Every meeting must include the question, "What are we missing?" And silence isn't an acceptable answer. The first few times, people offered weak observations, and the leader kept asking, kept waiting, kept making space. Eventually, real concerns emerged. Silence can be a powerful motivator. It gives people the space to gather their thoughts and the courage to say what they really think. And let's face it, someone will always break the tension eventually. My record today, just over 10 minutes. That kind of discomfort, dodging the agile coach staring into your soul, waiting for an answer, that works every time. Building this progression takes time. You can't go from polite silence to productive candor overnight. It's like a ladder. The first step, people share positive observations openly. Second step, people share concerns privately with trusted colleagues. Third step, people raise concerns in small group settings. And the fourth step, people challenge ideas respectfully in any forum. And once you're in the fifth step, people thank each other over the hard truths. Each step needs to be solid before you climb to the next. Hurry too much, and the fall will hurt. Let me show you what this looks like when it was actually working. And there's a product team in Austin. 18 months ago, their meetings were like everyone else's: polite, pleasant, useless. Then their new VP asked one question that changed everything. What would you say about this plan if you knew you couldn't get fired? A few people chuckled nervously. Then someone spoke, and the floodgates opened. The timeline is impossible. We don't have the skills for module three. Our biggest competitor already tried this and failed. Instead of defending the plan, the VP grabbed a marker. Okay, let's fix it. They spent the next 2 hours rebuilding the plan based on reality instead of optimism. Today, that team has the highest employee satisfaction scores in the company, and we've hit every revised deadline. Sometimes candor isn't just improving plans, it's changing them completely. I witnessed this once during a digital transformation effort at a large organization. They were already 3 months in, millions invested, the entire team's reorganized. Then, during a routine check in, a junior analyst, we'll call him Roberto, raised his hand. "Hmm, I've been analyzing our customer data. They don't want what we're building." The room froze. The transformation was the CEO's baby. He said, "Show me." Roberto did. Survey after survey, usage pattern after usage pattern. The evidence was overwhelming. The CEO sat back. The room held its breath. And he finally said, "Well, I guess we need to transform in a different direction." They pivoted. It worked. And Roberto is now head of customer insights. That's what productive conflict looks like. Not people attacking each other, people attacking problems together. I saw this brilliantly demonstrated during a strategy session with a leadership team. Two directors had completely different takes on the market approach. Instead of slipping into the usual political maneuvering, they grabbed a whiteboard. One kicked off the meeting with, "Let's fight fair." And they established ground rules. Attack ideas, not people. Use data, not raised voices. Seek understanding, not victory. For an hour, they battled respectfully, intensely, productively. By the end, it created a hybrid approach neither had considered. Their conflict had become collaboration. And the best part, others started copying their approach. "Let's fight fair" became shorthand for productive disagreement. Conflict transformed from something to avoid into something to harness. So, where do you start? Right now, in this moment, what truth are you holding back? Take 10 seconds. Think about it. What conversation have you been holding back? What feedback have you been softening? What concern have you been swallowing? Got it? Okay. Now ask yourself, what's the cost of not sharing it? Not just to you, to your team, your organization, the people who might make bad decisions without your insight, and most importantly, to your customers. Here's your homework. This week, find one moment, just one, where you feel the gap between what's being said and what's true. It's right there. Bridge it, not with brutal honesty, with caring candor. Maybe it's as simple as I have a concern about this approach. Maybe you say, I think we might be missing something. Maybe it's just sharing. My experience suggests a different path. Start small. Start. And I want to hear about it. Drop your hallway moment. Let us know in the chat what truth was hiding in your hallway. What would have helped create space for it in the room? So today we explored how candor, the ability to speak truth with care, transforms organizations from the inside out. It's not about being brutal or careless about your words. It's being just this whole concept of just being brutally honest, it destroys. That's not what we're talking about. It's about caring enough to say what needs to be said, especially when it's uncomfortable. Start small. In your next meeting, when you feel that gap between what's being said and what's true, bridge it with one honest observation. You might be surprised how that single moment opens the door for others. Because here's what I know every time someone chooses candor over comfort, it gives others permission to do the same. Every truth spoken with care makes the next one easier to share. And when leaders model this, the effect is exponential. It reshapes culture quickly for the better, every level. And if you'd like to learn more about psychological safety as the foundation for candor, click one of these, and I'll be happy to tell you all about it.